Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Agile IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Sean Spicer, and today we're going to be talking about accessibility features in Microsoft Teams and a little bit about Windows. Before we get started, there's a couple things I want to bring up. First off, this is the week of Inspire. If it were not COVID times, I would currently be in a hotel in Vegas, hobnobbing with all of the Microsoft partners and a lot of the Microsoft execs learning what's going on. It's been a virtual event, and you can go to myinspire.microsoft.com and check out the awesome keynotes, some great sessions talking about, a lot of it is really partner oriented, but there's also a lot of new features coming out and really getting those technical experts that are showing off what's in the pipeline for different Microsoft products. It has been a very fun week getting up at 8 in the morning to watch these sessions in the comfort of my pajamas, instead of trying to be up at 5 a.m. to get dressed, eat breakfast, and meet everybody and get out to the auditorium. But just been a wild and very filled week. This is the beginning of the Microsoft fiscal year, which starts on July 1st. So I've been really busy with that. Next, I want to announce the podcast that is getting launched on August 3rd. Our first guest is going to be David Pryor, head of external affairs at Microsoft, who's going to be talking about his 3-year battle as working as a lobbyist for Microsoft to get the Cloud Act passed. And if you've watched my video about data sovereignty and data residency, you're aware of that. Our second guest is going to be talking about how the recent law changes in laws in the EU that are kind of the growth of safe harbor, and how everything's changed now with these laws changing in terms of where data can be transmitted and moved. Really changed a lot of US and EU treaties. And third, and I'm going to bring up a little bit of personal stuff during the presentation today because my son is color deficient. He's got weak green color blindness, and I'm going to show how you can adapt Windows for that. But on a personal note, I wasn't woken up by it, but about 15 minutes after I got up this morning, I found out that my cousin had her computer stolen, and whoever got a hold of her computer really knew what they were doing. And they have changed addresses on bank accounts. They have changed the password on her email. They drained out her Square accounts, attacking Venmo, and they are in all of her accounts with her saved passwords. And I know that there are a number of security features that I've talked about on the enterprise level, but for those of you watching, security is not just for work. Please, if you do nothing else today, go enable 2-factor or multi-factor authentication on all of your accounts. If you are lazy and you've been reusing passwords, go and start changing your passwords. This was a smash and grab while she was in a store. They broke in, grabbed her bag, got her computer, and a couple days later, the identity theft started. Just before this tech talk, she gave me a call. She's in the bank right now. And while she was talking with them, the person changed her address on her account. So she's meeting with an account executive there at the bank to figure out what they can do. And yeah, I've been trying to help where I can, but really my focus, as you know from my tech talks, is about securing things before bad things happen. That said, I'm also turning off my phone so I do not get a ring in the middle of this. So with that said, really security is not just a business function, it's also a personal function. Secure your stuff, people. But let's go ahead and get started. So there are more than 1 billion people with disabilities in the world. And accessibility and inclusion are really essential to meet that Microsoft mission. I've been hearing a lot about it, Inspire, about empowering every person and organization to achieve more. So we're going to go through a demo with Contoso Electronics and what they're doing to build a culture that embraces accessibility and inclusivity by leveraging technology that empowers their team members. We're going to be pretending to be Megan again. I know we've fired her in the past. Pardon me. And she is the marketing manager and is driving Contoso's inclusive culture initiatives with day-to-day collaboration in meetings and teams. So 70% of disabilities are non-apparent. If you saw me, you wouldn't know that I had the spine of an 80-year-old from an old habit of jumping out of airplanes. So you likely have team members with disabilities that are already adding value to your teams. In a study conducted back in 2011 by Cornell's Employment and Disability Institute, they found that 73% of participants reported choosing not to disclose a disability out of fear of repercussions. And by using Microsoft Teams for collaboration, there's a lot of tools that are available that foster a more modern and inclusive environment without needing to know the specific needs of your team members if they choose not to identify. So one of the most common disabilities that we can't see is colorblindness. And the latest versions of Windows has the ability to change the display to accommodate different vision impairments by hitting Control Windows C. And the available color filters in Windows 10 are grayscale, inverted, deuteranopia, which is wheat green, which affects my son. We'll see that here in just a second. Protanopia and tritanopia, and those are types of color blindness and vision issues. So we can go ahead and, like I said, hit Control Windows C, and that's going to go ahead and enable the wheat green mode. So watch closely, and you'll see the colors change on my screen here. And so you can see the difference between red and green on the screen. And we can go ahead and disable that just by hitting Control Windows C again. So these features are also really baked into Teams. So let's go and take a look here. So as a collaboration tool, Teams has built-in accessibility features that reflect a diverse range of users and ways to empower them. So with the default color theme of Microsoft Teams, people with certain vision disabilities may have difficulty navigating through Teams and reading content. For example, I don't know what it is. Developers have to have dark mode. It's there. So we can see the current theme. This is probably what you're used to seeing. But by going up here to our profile and going to settings, we have the ability to choose default, dark, and high contrast. We've all seen dark mode. I admit I will use it quite a bit, particularly in the evenings where my eyes are tired after a long day, when I probably should get away from the computer, but I never do. But let's look at high contrast, because this is really valuable for people with different ways of seeing. So not only does high contrast mode enable someone with reduced contrast sensitivity to read easy and quickly, it also helps with eye fatigue by reducing eye strain for any user. And we're going to go ahead and play in this for a while. So here you can see the high contrast. And let's go ahead and look at the activity notification from Joanna here. And then we can see her reply right here. And it highlights it so it's easier to read. But then what we can also do is for team members with visual disabilities or team members that are just learning a language. This has been, we've shown this off in a demo for education, really cool. Immersive Reader increases readability and comprehension of chats and channel conversations. So let's go ahead and jump in there. So here we can consume content in a way that suits our individual needs. I'll admit I've got astigmatism. I just started wearing glasses this year. I'm not quite at the point that I need everything to be this size, but it's there if you need it. There was a really compelling story at Microsoft Build this year of a blind scientist who was working on COVID vaccines. And the reason he chose to do it is because you can't see the things he's working on. And so because he's blind, he feels that he can conceptualize things better. And it was a really compelling story. But in order to communicate with his team, they were showing how he was using Inclusive Reader or Focused Reader to see what was being communicated. And so up here with text preferences, we can go ahead and change that text size. We can go ahead, and this allows us to sustain focus with text sizing. We can change increased spacing and font. Pardon me. And then we can also change different color themes in order to make things easier. Please don't use Comic Sans. Also, for emerging readers, people learning a new language, you can go ahead and set up grammar options that increase word recognition and pronunciation, as well as improving the understanding of sentence structures. So for those of you that are polyglots that can speak multiple languages, you know we don't always have the same verb, subject, object structure. This allows you to highlight the different parts of speech. So that's particularly useful if you're working. I used to be pretty good at French. I'm not anymore, but when I am reading French text, I can use Immersive Reader to identify, and it kind of brings everything back to me. So finally, we've got reading preferences, and we can do line focus. And where is it? There we go. So line focus acts like a reading ruler by removing extraneous information and reducing focus to just 1, 3, or 5 lines at a time. So other options within reading preferences increase comprehension by providing graphical hints for specific words when needed, as well as translation options. So individuals with dyslexia or low vision may prefer to hear content instead of reading it. Read aloud can make chats and conversations with teams easier to understand. Read aloud reads text out loud while simultaneously highlighting the related text, improving word recognition and decoding, and aiding with comprehension and focus. Again, this is a really cool tool when you're seeing another story from Inspired, tangent again, is that one of the Microsoft partners deployed Windows Virtual Desktop to 50,000 students in a matter of a week after they closed public schools in response to COVID. And just seeing kindergartners working in teams where they're learning to read is really, really cool. So Read Aloud supports multiple languages and can automatically detect languages in a multilingual document. With Read Aloud, your team can stay productive and listen to their documents while continuing with other tasks or even while on the go. So you can change the speed here. So also, as a side note, you can do this in YouTube as well. If you're trying to learn something really fast and you want to go through the video really quick and you want people to talk as fast as I am right now, it works just like that. So let's go ahead and go back to the activity feed. And then let's look at teams. So for diverse teams to collaborate inclusively, it's important that meetings and videos are accessible as well. So here we've got a recorded meeting. Excuse me. And we're going to go ahead and look at the new product. And here we've got this recorded meeting, and we're going to show off transcription. And with transcription, team members who may have a hearing disability, different levels of language proficiency, or for those connecting from a loud location, they can now work more inclusively with their coworkers. This is important for me. I have a number of freelance writers that help me write the blogs. So as busy as I am, a lot of times I'll write a technical outline and I'll go ahead, send that off to my writers. And I requested a write-up of a news video that had come out of the Department of Defense about CMMC. And I sent it over, and then I found out that the particular writer who had that assignment was deaf and couldn't write because there were no subtitles on this. So we're going to go ahead and show how those subtitles are available in Teams. So for videos, we can extend and customize the experience in Teams with the Stream app integration, and Stream is part of Microsoft 365, Office 365. We use it a lot. It's almost like an internal YouTube, and videos can then be embedded within a channel tab and can be added to a personalized watch list, making content available in a centralized location. No more needing to create a SharePoint site, posting the video up somewhere. So works pretty easy, but let's go ahead and look at this Mark 8 roadmap. And we can go ahead and turn closed captioning on down here. And closed captions for videos and recorded meetings are automatically generated, and now presentations can be better understood by all viewers. We can also customize captions with text size. We can change the text color to reverse standard. And let's see what that looks like. Delivering a easier, more customizable experience for your team. And with automatic transcription, this is cool as well. Disability or not, all the words spoken within videos and meetings become searchable metadata. So if you're in a meeting and you want to jump right to the place, let's do it. You can see that you can now surface where something happened exactly in a meeting. So in this point, you can see that they're talking about the camera department, and you've got the timestamps. And if you click on them, it takes you right there. directly to that point in the video so you can continue watching. Again, that you can see the use for this even if you don't need closed captioning. Having the very words that are spoken during a meeting become surfaceable data. This also matters for e-discovery and compliance. Just saying, I've got to bring that up because I'm a wonk. So let's look at the design channel here. So live captions and subtitles improve accessibility and also the effectiveness of meetings and live events by enabling attendees to read speaker caption in real time. So this supports 12 different languages and displays on-screen captions in any one of 60 languages, giving you access to content no matter what languages you read or the environment you're working in. So the audience can follow these presentations in their own language and on their own phone, tablet, or computer. So this works on every device, once more allowing the team to break the language barrier and present to a wider audience. I'm going to go ahead and look at a doc here. So again, really it's important that we're able to seamlessly collaborate. And so we're going to review, and we want to check the accessibility of documents before sharing. If you've done any work in web formatting, you know that there are certain things that will just totally break an on-screen reader if somebody is blind. So we can go ahead and use the check accessibility feature here in Word. And we can see errors, missing alternative text, 7 places. So what's nice is now with the AI features in Office 365 Pro Plus, when you do just move a picture in, it will use AI to identify what it is and suggest automatic alternative text. So let's see what that looks like. Description automatically generated, a close-up of a camera. So instilling best practices like this, particularly if you have a large audience, it enables your team to embrace a culture of accessibility and inclusivity, not only internally, but also for those who are going to be consuming your content. So this drives all the way out to your customers. And there have been many, many lawsuits about accessibility of online documents on the internet. Particularly with larger customers where somebody may be going to find insurance documentation, healthcare information. So it's really nice to have this built in, and it's a button that not many people are aware of if it's not something they need. Again, what we've got the ability here. So for team members that are learning a new language or prefer to create and consume content in different languages, Translate can increase cross-language understanding and break those language barriers. Let's go ahead and translate the document. So we want to, from auto detect to, let's do Dutch. And we click translate. And now you can see, I don't know if anybody watching can read Dutch, but it has been my experience. Like I mentioned, I speak a little bit of French. French translations are pretty on point. And we can see the entire document's been translated. An interesting story about languages. We got a notification from the school district about an inclusivity effort that was taking place here in San Diego, and they were doing a survey, and one of the survey languages that you could select was Karen. And with everything going on about, okay, Karen, and I want to see your manager, my wife was really surprised, but it turns out that it's a Tibetan language. And in our neighborhood here in San Diego, we have a lot of refugees that have been coming here since really the Korean War. So we live in a really diverse neighborhood. My son's school is amazing, but I had never heard of the language Karen. And it was really fascinating to hear that. So let's go ahead and look at dictate. So for team members with dysgraphia or dyslexia, or people like our senior cloud engineer, Miguel, who just doesn't want to type because he's working on something else, you can go ahead and dictate what you want to type. So Dictate helps team members save time and produce better results through the power of voice typing. And I'm sure we all use this for text messages when we're driving and things like that. We can go ahead and stop. So in the example here, Megan used Dictate to type all of her emails and documents after breaking her arm last year. I'm convinced that it was probably an IT admin. Like I said, Megan is the one who breaks all the security rules in all of these demos. So she learned that she prefers voice typing and now uses Dictate constantly to get more done. Microsoft Team is designed for people of all abilities, enabling Megan and her team, no matter what their abilities are, to collaborate in their own way. But accessibility doesn't stop with just Microsoft Teams. So there are a number of ways to create, consume, and collaborate in content together. Built-in accessibility and inclusivity tools in Teams empowers every team member to create, communicate, and collaborate in their own way. So it's that inclusive design, and it works with assistive technologies when needed, like screen readers, which I mentioned earlier, to reduce the barriers to effective collaboration and enable the 285 million blind and visually impaired around the world, like myself with my stigmatism and my son with his weak green color blindness, to successfully collaborate with their team, giving everyone a voice. And even if they are not telling you about it, them having these abilities available to them removes the risk of discrimination cases, and it's a nice thing to have. So let's go ahead and look at our conversations. And we're going to go ahead and see what this looks like on the mobile side of Teams. So while on the go, we all use Teams Mobile to stay up to date with what's going on. So I'm going to show this. We're not really clicking through because it is a mobile demo, but show you where everything is in here. So we can navigate through the mobile app and access many of the same accessibility and inclusivity features that are available on the desktop. So we go ahead and we can turn on dark theme here. We'll need to close and restart. And when we come back, we are in dark mode. And this is one of those things that I didn't realize that I had set my phone to dark mode years ago. And I thought this was, well, not years ago, but I thought this was the default look of Teams. So we want to encourage team members to embrace work-life balance. This is particularly important when everybody's working at home. And I'm going to admit to being guilty of being involved in Teams chats sometimes at 1 or 2 in the morning because I'm still up hacking away at something. So here we can see all of the notifications and when to send notifications. And we can see there's more down here. And we've got quiet hours. So by using Teams Mobile for communication, we're able to make sure that everybody can continue to work even when they're on the go. So let's go ahead and go back to the desktop. And so quiet days, we actually have a couple clients that, due to labor laws and union agreements, they have to turn off notifications for certain users on certain days and at certain times, because hourly workers are not permitted to do any work when they are not at work. So assistive technologies work with both mobile and desktop apps for Microsoft Teams, but we can use our keyboard to work and collaborate with the teams as well. So partnering with Freedom Scientific and NV Access, Teams navigation has been tested with JAWS, which is Job Access with Speech, and Non-Visual Desktop Access, NVDA, and may work with other screen readers that allow common accessibility standards and techniques. So we've got JAWS up here, and JAWS is a screen reader. So we can listen with JAWS and know where we are in the Teams desktop at all times, even if we do not have the ability to see the screen. So And right now, the screen reader is reading each of these highlighted menu options. So in the threaded replies, if you encounter any challenges while navigating Teams with the screen reader, you can contact Microsoft's Disability Answer Desk, the DAD, or for organizations, for larger organizations, the Enterprise Disability Answer Desk, EDAD, to find support for product issues, accessibility questions, and use of assistive technologies. So really, Microsoft has been all in on creating accessible environments. And maybe you remember from Christmas of last year where the kids are all running through the snow screaming, "He's got it, he's got it, he's got it." And all these kids run in, and it's a kid in a wheelchair using the adaptive controller for the Xbox. And this is a really cool device because it allows anybody to create triggers, almost like an Arduino, for extra buttons or where people can reach things where they maybe don't have full use of their arms. And really, the accessibility push that Microsoft's done, it can be tear-jerking at times. And so that adaptive controller, if you go on YouTube and search Microsoft Accessible Controller packaging, and the packaging and the story behind the thought that went into this, and the team lead doesn't have any hands, and they created a box that can be opened with just about any physical disability, but still stay closed for shipping and packing. And it was just it's about a 10-minute video, and it's really awesome to see the amount of thought that go into that. So this was just kind of a brush across the abilities within Teams and within Office 365 and as well as Windows. I'm sure you guys are familiar with many of the accessibility tools that have been available in Windows going all the way back to Windows 95. One of the things, if you're a gamer and you remember gaming on Windows 95, when you hammer down on one key too many times, you get the little pop-up and it's, do you want to enable sticky keys? Or do you want to enable a key buffer to block repeated key presses? All of those accessibility features that have been in Windows, that are continuing to be developed in Windows, are continued to be pulled in to Office 365, Microsoft 365, enabling a true culture of accessibility and digital inclusiveness that both boosts productivity for the abled and differently abled while offering supportive services from Microsoft when there are more advanced accessibility challenges or advanced accessibility compliance requirements that you have to meet. So Microsoft has done a really good job of being all in making sure that their tools are accessible and available to everyone. So thanks for joining us. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you're able to share this with members of your team who may or may not have told you about any difficulties they may have, and that these features are able to empower them to do more. As a reminder, Tech Talks are a service for our MSP and CSP clients here at Agile IT, and we do upload these demos up to YouTube. For those of you watching online, give us a like and follow down below. We now close off the recording in order to open up an open Q&A session for our clients. But if you do have questions, feel free to ask them in the question comments down below. And another kind of a prod for that webcast we're launching on August 3rd. And that is, we already have a teaser episode, so kind of a trailer, a 1-minute trailer up, and it is available wherever you get your podcasts. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We got it all syndicated earlier this week, so if you want to go ahead and subscribe, get in there now. We're going to be launching it every Sunday night to get you ready for that Monday morning commute. We're going to be covering the news, bringing in special guests. Conrad and I are probably going to tell some really bad jokes, and go listen now because we've got an awesome theme song that I'm super excited about. But once again, thanks for joining and have a great day.